So let me tell you.
Wait.
Church friends ain't your real friends. I'm gonna tell you right now. Here's my perspective. I think there is a difference, but I don't think there needs to be a difference. But
I agree.
But I think there is a difference, and I think the difference is your real friends know everything about you. Your church friends don't.
So why? Some don't.
I feel like you can eliminate that, and it doesn't have to be that way, but I feel like that does exist. So we hear week over week how people come and they put this facade or they put this mask on when they come to church. That exists, that's real, but it doesn't have to be that way. So I do believe church friends can be your real friends when you just say, I just want friends. But I feel like sometimes people don't come to church to find friends. They come to church for other reasons. So friends to me is someone that you feel like you can just be open and honest with and not feel like you're gonna have any backlash. And the second the church starts to have that type of attitude towards people, then church friends and real friends can be one of the same.
Well, okay, here's the thing. At my stage of life right now, I have 3 groups of friends. I have work friends, I have church friends, and I have friends that I grew up with or knew in college, right? Because for me, there's not really any other avenues for me to meet other people in that sense, because I'm a stranger danger type of person. I'm not gonna talk to you out in the street, but the environment that I'm in are either professional or church. So I think in that case, like living in a new city, going to church more often made it easier to develop those church friends becoming my real friends.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, this environment is indicative that church friends can really be your real friends. Sometimes people segment their lives. They find it easier to cope with who they're most comfortable being versus who other people expect them to be. When you get to a certain point in your life, like TD Jake said, you just don't care. You know what I'm saying? You get to the age where you don't care who you are as who you are. And I think that when you find a group of people that believe what you believe in, that you can be who you are, even when you're ugly with them, and love is there, you know what I'm saying? You can make the best out of those relationships. Do I have friends outside of my church friends? Yes, but they still go to church. You know, so I think that the important question is not, are my friends some in church, some out of church, but do I actually have friends and people that I do life with, that I worship with as well? Absolutely.
Yeah,
So tell us about your friends. Like, so
My friends are some thugs.
You consider your church friends like to be your real friends, or like how is it for you personally, just in general?
Okay, so going back to personalities. So for me as a person, it just takes me a longer time to break out of my shell. So I think like my real friends are people who I am like intentionally either seeking out or they've sucked. I like, you know what I mean? They're natural friendships, but I feel like at church you have to be like really intentional if you're not like going to Sabbath school or whatever. So I feel like the friends that I've made, like you guys, of course, like I feel like y'all are my friends. So it's not like you all are my friends from like, you know what I mean? But we're developing that relationship. So I feel like
I think there's a gender divide here because,
really?
yeah, well, I think either I'm just cut from a different cloth, or I think guys are different because every friend that I've had at church, guy or girl, I don't care if I've known you for 30 years or I've known you just for the 6 years I've been here in Dallas. They're my real friends.
So it sounds like your beliefs really dictate like real friends, and who you interact with and who you feel like you can be vulnerable with based off the feedback that they'll give you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So in that case, like, how do you define like real friends, right? Because a lot of us were saying like sometimes we may not be all comfortable to be really vulnerable with church people as opposed to like other type of people, I guess, for lack of a better term. So what do you feel about that?
Because I think maybe that concern is more so of feeling a judgment, or maybe even our own personal guilt of like, if I know if I admit this to a church friend, they're gonna tell me I'm wrong. But sometimes we need that. But I think our closest friends, we trust them to know that what they tell us is what we need to hear, and they're not saying it to be malicious. They're not saying it to they're being true, you know, and we appreciate that.
That's spiritual judgment.
Yeah, we look for that in a friendship.
So, I think we were trying to also focus on, do you see a difference between having a relationship with someone outside of the church from a friendship perspective where you feel comfortable to talk to them about things where you feel like you won't be judged, similar to how people relate to the church always being an institution where you might feel like you're being judged? Do you feel like it's more comfortable to have those friends outside of church, or does it not even matter in your situation?
In my situation, it does matter because of my position. A lot of times it's easier for me to confide in people who I don't minister to. However, I found strength in building those relationships by being transparent, letting them see the raw, uncut me. Because then they know when my worship is for real, it's authentic. So with me, I'm an exception. You really can't say that with me because I have a bunch of women that are around me all the time and they're just friends. Why would I look at them when I got that?
Turn it.
I did good.
Turn it.
Oh, it's